This episode is a bonus episode. No regular episodes were harmed in the making of this bonus episode. Hello, I'm John Rossi. I'm a touring drummer with a love for all things animal. When I'm on the road, I spend as much time as possible visiting zoos, aquariums, rescues, and rehab facilities. Now, I want to share those places with you. I'll be talking to keepers, vets, conservationists, volunteers, anyone who is as passionate about animals as I am. Join me on my Rossifari. Hello. Welcome to a quick bonus episode of the Rossifari Podcast. I wanted to take a couple minutes to reflect briefly on the first season, which is coming to an end soon, and to fill y'all in on what to expect for the podcast in the upcoming second season. Before I launch into all of that, though, I just wanted to take a quick minute to tell you that you need to make sure you get to the end of this episode, even if you skip ahead and get bored with all the stuff I'm saying, because the last few minutes of this one are going to be some clips from Season 2 and what you've got coming your way already. You know, Season 1 of the pod was so much bigger and more successful than I could have imagined. It was supposed to be one episode a week, not two. Zoo News wasn't even in the back of my mind when this launched. Now, over 40% of you say those are your favorite episodes. I thought that, if I was lucky, by the end of the year, I would be able to get a few cool facilities on and maybe even meet a few cool animals. Instead, we came right out of the gates with Jake Belair at Nashville for the first episode and never looked back. Together, we have been on a journey all through the USA and visited the UK, Australia, Kenya, Namibia, Canada, Nepal, Panama, and India. And the animals. Hanging out with red pandas, binturongs, tree kangaroos, river otters, maned wolves, tamanduas, sloths, New World monkeys, rattlesnakes, hares, tara, fennec foxes, bats, a tarantula, walruses, grizzlies, kangaroos, wallabies, porcupines, rhinos, giraffes, zebra, cheetahs, dolphins, Jilly the cow, Fiona the hippo, and so many birds has been beyond the best. Perhaps the coolest part of Season 1, for me anyway, is how much it changed my life. As most of you know, I dreamed of this podcast a while ago, with the idea being that I would visit zoos as I toured the country, interviewing people by day and playing shows at night. Then COVID came and took my music career away for a while. It was a hard time for me, but it also gave me the time to launch the pod and focus on my passion for conservation. It gave me a purpose at a time when I felt I had none. And it brought so many people into my life that I now consider close friends. People like Danica Wolf, Miyako Temple, Caitlin Graham, Colleen Adams, Katie Propp, Danny Poirier-Larson, Christy Nuss, Lauren Lott, Dr. Natalie Taco, Taylor Ballard, Sam Evans, Trisha Gunther, Brooke Mitchell-Norman, Emily Begay, Amy King, Lauren Puccia, and Renee Howell have all become legitimately good friends, people I talk to regularly about animals and beyond. That is incredible to me. This podcast helped me find my tribe in a way that music and theater never fully has. And while I haven't stayed in as close contact with them, a whole group of people have become friends that I chat with on occasion, such as Jake Belair, Melinda Kamavongza, the entire team at Elmwood Park Zoo, Lisa Termini up in Toronto, Johnny Payne, Kara McSweeney, Tiffany James, Heather Hammond-Wood, Erica Allen, Kristen Scaglione, Sarah Glass, and Paul Reinhardt, two people who I've known about for years and respected and loved and now can call friends. And even the people I've interviewed, who I'm not mentioning right now, were amazing people to talk to and left me, and I know a lot of you, feeling more inspired than before hearing them. I mean, it's crazy to me that I actually get to work with Terrence Fleming of Red Panda Network now, since I'm volunteering for them. And I frequently stay in touch with Gunjan Menon, a director I've admired for years, who I now get to call a friend after we had a digital pajama party episode. And Shira Scott Astroff went from a person I saw on one of my favorite TV shows to a friend who I not only chat with occasionally, but who I am planning on joining on some animal rescue adventures when I'm out in LA next year, assuming that the gig works out. And we are going to end season 1 with a bang, y'all. An interview with one of the keepers who truly inspired me to launch this podcast and another close personal friend. I cannot wait to share that with all of you. I think my favorite thing, though, was the community built around the podcast over the last year. Whether it's the people I mentioned above or new friendships formed between guests and fans who discovered them on the podcast, the thousands of dollars donated to conservation organizations people discovered on here, the people who have started volunteering at zoos because of this podcast, the artwork it has inspired, the parents who reach out to tell me that they use this as a way to educate their children, or the people who aren't keepers but have still reached out to me with their own Rossifari poop story. I am just so proud of all the small little things that have happened in the world because of this show. And I thank all of you who have shared those stories with me, as it has really meant a lot. From the bottom of my heart, I'm so grateful to have every single one of my listeners be a part of the Rossifari community. But if I'm being honest, in a lot of ways, season 1 of the Rossifari podcast was heavily focused on the Rossi part. Me learning how to do this, using the podcast to help overcome the emotions I felt when the music stopped for a while, getting to have some cool people experiences, and getting to have some cool animal experiences were all a major factor of what kept me going. But season 2 is going to be more focused on the safari part of the title. You see, the biggest change is that I am back on the road. While I can't say that I won't be doing occasional Zoom interviews and such, the dream of the podcast is finally a reality. I'm on the road and visiting facilities where I am while I'm playing gigs. So the season is going to launch in Florida since I'm currently playing in Sarasota. And y'all, I'm not going to lie, Florida has been very good to me so far. Despite the fact that I'm literally recording this as a hurricane is raging outside. But in general, very good. The season is going to launch with my episode with Ron McGill, the communications director at Zoo Miami. If you don't know Ron, you should. He's one of the biggest names in the zoo field, and his conservation work is incredible. He's also a media star with 6 Emmys and a weekly spot on the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugatz, an insanely popular sports podcast. The man has even been on SportsCenter, always to talk about animals in a hilarious but educational way. I promise you, there is no way you won't love that episode. From there, we will be exploring a ton of facilities in Florida. I have already completed interviews at the Lemur Conservation Foundation, the Naples Zoo, and the Jacksonville Zoo. As I record this, I'm scheduled to hit up the Santa Fe Teaching Zoo, Mote Marine Laboratory, the Southeast Zoo Alliance for Reproduction and Conservation, the Sarasota Dolphin Research Center, Brevard Zoo, and Central Florida Zoo. And I'm currently in talks with a few more facilities that may or may not work out. We'll see. You know how it goes. After this, my next gig is up in Vermont, and I'm hoping I'll be able to have similar luck connecting with the facilities in the New England region. And, along with bringing you more in-person interviews and the more animal experiences that you get to hear with those, I am also going out into the field. I have one scheduled excursion so far, but the plan is to get some in-situ conservation experience over the year and bring that to you as well. The safari is traveling onwards and upwards. Beyond that change, the biggest one you're going to notice is that Season 2 is going to bring a slightly different release schedule. I'm moving Zoo News from Thursday to Friday each week. This is simply for my own mental health. Right now, I'm often working and doing final edits on an episode right before it comes out, Tuesday at midnight Eastern Time. Then I have a whole Zoo News episode to plan out, record, and edit by Thursday at midnight. I feel like the extra day will allow me to breathe easier and also give y'all a more even amount of time between episodes. So win-win. Now, y'all may remember that I recently announced a partnership with the Daydreamer Network. I added their name to the credits. I occasionally share some graphics and other cool stuff from them on Insta and Facebook, but that's been it so far. However, I'm really excited about where this partnership is going. I had a great meeting with the team, and Season 2 is going to see me implementing new ideas from them. Cool merch is coming soon. Beyond that, they have given me some great ideas on ways to engage the audience more and bring the Rossifari brand to you in new and unique ways. I can't share all the details yet, but some amazing stuff is coming this year. And one thing they are really helping me with is my Patreon. I have been, at best, mediocre in my engagement with my patrons. For that, I apologize. But starting with Season 2, if you're a patron of the pod, you're going to be getting some really cool things. Almost every interview episode will have at least a few minutes of bonus audio for the patrons alone. I've also figured out a way to get y'all some episode-specific photos that will be available only to patrons, and also some cool ways to be an even bigger part of the community. You'll get advance notice of who will be on each episode, and also have the chance to submit questions for some of those guests. All of this, of course, will be dependent on how each interview goes and what each individual facility allows. But y'all, I have plans, and they are good. So if you haven't yet, jump on that ship now and sign up at patreon.com/Rossifari. Tiers start at $3 a month. Along with that stuff, you'll also start to notice some small changes to the pod as Season 2 progresses. I'm looking at some different things, like whether I should keep numbering the episodes in the titles, little things like that. Should I re-record the intro with my new mic? I don't know. We'll see. It's that kind of stuff that will be small and subtle, but also make the overall experience just that much better. I am incredibly grateful for all of you that have been a part of Season 1 of Rossifari, and I can't wait to start to share Season 2 with you. We will be launching Season 2 of the podcast on Tuesday, July 27th, and as I've mentioned in previous episodes, there's not going to be a break between seasons. I just want to mark the year of Rossifari with a new season. And also, I've been told that since I put out a lot of episodes, it's kind of intimidating for some people who want to start the podcast. So I'm hoping that if they see a fresh season break, they feel that they can start there, not be too intimidated. And then they'll go back to Season 1 and get all the goodness that they were going to miss out on otherwise. If there's one thing I've learned in a year of doing this podcast, it's that it's impossible to know everything that is coming. But I am confident that it will all be awesome. I'm now going to close this episode with some clips from Season 2 interviews that I've recorded to get y'all excited. Thanks for being on this safari with me, y'all. It means the world.
I'm Ron McGill. We're at Zoo Miami, and I'm the communications director here now, Goodwill Ambassador. I've been here for 41 years.
I am Lindsay Mahovitz. I am a postdoctoral fellow here at Jacksonville Zoo and Gardens.
Yeah. So my name is Caitlin, and I am the curator of primates here at the Lemur Conservation Foundation in Mayaca City, Florida.
And who are you?
I'm Lauren, and I'm the senior keeper here at the Lemur Conservation Foundation in Mayaca City, Florida.
All right, so my name is Elizabeth Johnson. We are here at the Naples Zoo in Naples, Florida, and I am the supervisor of the carnivore department.
In today's world, when everybody's caught up in, money and all these material things, I said, guys, make memories. Go out, explore the wild. Get away from your computer screen. Get away from your television screen. Get outside, explore the wild, because those are the things that will leave the greatest impressions in your life.
So this is the Apex machine, and we got this from Chris Martin, who is currently at the Indianapolis Zoo, and it is the whole kit and caboodle. So the big box, the primary reason we have this is so that it doesn't get destroyed. So we have gorillas and bonobos here. They are very, very strong. Fair. So if we just gave them a flimsy little touchscreen, it would be broken in a matter of seconds. Fair. And within this box, we have the touchscreen. We also have a surface. So the surface is what the person would be using to set up the program. There's also an automatic feeder up at the top inside there. So whenever they get something right, it'll shoot something out for them. There's also a series of lights, which will light up whenever they get something right or when they get something wrong. So 2 different colors.
Species-wise, right now, we have 51 lemurs, 5 different species.
And that's the beauty of my role is I can do that too. I'm like, oh, what do I really want to work with? I really want to work with this. Okay, let's get that.
When it comes to zoos, so many people have this impression that we take animals out of the wild. We don't do that anymore. That's not done. The only time it's done is to save a particular individual or to save a species. Okay. But this misconception that we're ripping animals out of the wild doesn't happen. And it's awful that people think that. But we're somewhat to blame because that's how it started. Right. So we have to work harder in making people understand what we're really doing now, the things that are happening in the wild because of the work of zoos. And quite frankly, zoos have to continue to improve on that. We can't just say, well, this is what we do. We have to keep on demonstrating more and more how we're doing it better and better.
Guys, I'm being a primate. Well, I mean, I am a primate, and I'm touching dots, and I'm getting lights, and I'm getting sound, and honestly, I feel reinforced. I'm not gonna lie, this is really cool.
And with this one, we can make it bigger or smaller. So for Rumple and Lash, I have them do it on the bigger dot, so there's more area that they can accidentally touch and get it right. I also smear stuff on the screen to entice them, just so then they interact.
Nice.
Yeah, so lemurs are considered one of the most threatened groups of mammals on Earth. 98% of those over 100 lemur species are threatened with extinction, and 33% of those species are critically endangered.
So when I was at Dallas, I worked with Somali wild asses.
You just wanted to say ass
well,
on a podcast.
This is the funny story.
Okay, all right.
But that does kind of like turn into it. So like we always have to say when they were in the lane on the way up to exhibit, and the way that we would call about it on the radio was basically to say the asses are in the lane.
I hate to tell you this, but I think someone was just doing some amateur porn in our aviary round room.
And on that incredibly enigmatic and hilarious note, I will leave you for now. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being a part of this journey with me. And most importantly, remember that season 2 credits backwards is Noseus Awat Steiderk. The Rossifari Podcast is produced, hosted, and engineered by John Rossi. Editing and fact-checking by John and Dr. Zoe Vesley Gross. Our theme song is Sevens by Nathan Burke, performed by Nathan and John. Interrupting John theme and additional voices by Taylor Isaac Gray. You can reach John directly on Instagram and Facebook at Rossifari or by email at rossifaripod@gmail.com. Rossifari is part of the Daydreamer Media Network. Now, stop listening to me and go visit a zoo.